What is Maroonage and how did it defy slavery? Imagine a world where people refuse to be held down, where they carve out their own space of freedom in the midst of oppression. That's what Maroonage was all about. It refers to enslaved individuals escaping from plantations or slaveholders and forming independent communities in remote or hard-to-reach areas. These communities, called Maroon communities, became symbols of resistance and resilience across the Americas and the African diaspora. Maroon communities were not just groups of runaways. They were people who reclaimed their freedom and built their own societies. They often hid in dense forests, mountains, or swamps where slave patrols and colonial armies found it hard to catch them. These communities were self-sufficient, growing their own food, making their own tools, and sometimes raiding nearby plantations to get supplies or reunite with family members separated by slavery. These communities challenged slavery in many ways. First, they undermined the economic system of the plantations by refusing to work and instead creating their own sources of income. Their raids disrupted the flow of goods and made it harder for slaveholders to maintain control. Second, they used guerrilla warfare tactics, knowing the terrain well and attacking suddenly before disappearing into the wilderness. This made it difficult for colonial forces to defeat them, even if they outnumbered or outgunned the Maroons. Maroon communities also became political entities. Some organized into structured societies with leaders, laws, and defenses. For example, on Bourbon Island, Maroons aimed to create a free state by resisting colonial powers through military actions and alliances. Their ability to sustain themselves and fight back showed that enslaved people could challenge the entire system of slavery. This history highlights the strength and ingenuity of Black Americans and the African diaspora. Maroons refused to accept their status as property and instead built their own worlds of freedom. Their stories reminded us that even in the darkest times, people found ways to resist, survive, and shape their own destinies. These communities stood as living proof that the fight for freedom was ongoing and that resistance could take many forms.